Greetings. And as we speak now, we are literally drowned in an ocean of data. And like me, you must also be feeling suffocated, utterly confused, and even trapped in this dense planet of data. And we all are desperately want to make sense of this data deluge. 181 zettabytes. I repeat, 181 zettabytes. That's the estimated volume of data to be generated in 2025. And to give you a sense of this volume of this data, 1 zettabyte is 1,000 billion gigabytes. This is the kind of data that we are handling. Every moment, millions of visuals, text, research papers, all actually are uploaded in the virtual world. And this is, I think, the ecosystem that where we all are working. And in this ecosystem comes the technology or the tools of artificial intelligence or AI. Particularly at the current time, it's the generative AI, also called AI Gen or Gen AI, as you like it. Generative artificial intelligence, as we have spoken, we know it's basically generates things for you, text, visual, then audio, video, everything. It processes things nearly on its own. That's why it's called generative artificial intelligence. And is it a good tide to have the technology, the AI, or is it an instrument of evil? The debate is quite polarized. But there are perils definitely, as well as opportunities. Hello, my name is Richard Mahapatra. I'm a journalist with over 30 years of experience. And by practice, I report, research, and write. And to put it in that broad way, communication is what I do every day, hour by hour, with people whom I don't know. But I write a story, I report an event, and I communicate it to them so that they get informed. And I also find myself drowned in this ocean of data. And we will talk about the use of artificial intelligence, and particularly whether is it a threat or a tool to benefit from. Because it's not just that we are living with so much of data and informations, we are creating also every day. We might be researchers, we are scientists, we are environmentalists dealing with all the contemporary existential situations, I mean, the issues like the climate change. So every moment we are also creating informations. And with the arrival of AI, I think we actually expect that this new technology, new tool can be of some help. But at the same time, we have also the threats. So this debate has been brewing. Let me take you a bit back into how communications has evolved over a period of time, because this is to actually contextualize the artificial intelligence tools, particularly the generative AI tool, why it could be, it is emerging as a big tool of help or to process data, and there are also threats. So let me start with this. Throughout the history, if you look at it, the leaders, individuals, scientists who have done some things have traditionally depended on communication experts or specialized to craft and disseminate their messages. That has been the way. So a scientist comes out with a seminal work, a research piece, and release it, or ask a journalist to report it, or a communication specialist who can actually uh, do this thick scientific research into understandable, comprehensible layman language to communicate the findings. So that has been the traditionally that way. And in fact, over years also, the most of these people have also become themselves skilled communicators. And as we know, communication, the skill of communication also helps or adds to a person's eminence. And if you come to the artificial intelligence and it's how it evolved, as I said, that artificial intelligence has been there for more than 70 years now. But what's new is that how its variants are coming and how it's becoming actually agentic or near independent and autonomous, which without you and me can now do things on its own, has really gained intelligence that way. And on these 70 years or in the recent 10 years, this evolution of artificial intelligence has predominantly revolved around endeavors such as the innovation of intelligent vehicular systems like self-driven car, sophisticated, machines like your even the washing machine taking few, doing some things on its own, like a timer. So other advancements are there also. But these are the basically happened. But the current advancement in artificial intelligence, particularly in the generative technologies, this has basically focused on the communicative practices. It means it's turning out to be a communication intermediary. Just you can say like a newspaper or a platform kind of things. And that's where the use of AI as a communication tool in environmental research or in scientific research or in communicating scientific research is very actually important now. So, but there is this debate. Numerous stakeholders within the communication sector suggest that the increase of generative AI has caused a one-way an existential dilemma regarding professional identity and function. Like whether you must have read newspapers or the reports saying that it will take away jobs. It might even put many people's credibility at stake also, because everybody can now fairly to some extent can do many things that they were not doing. So, but at the core is that deployment of AI in communicating things or in generating things. And what exactly the perils and the opportunity. So the debate, how generative AI will transform science communications, actually it very widely uh, with like any other technologies. It ranges from high optimistic to deeply dystopian. Optimistic, and these are the words that I'm using, are basically the keywords I have fished out using generative AI to give me a sense, to capture the debate. So the two words is the debate over generative AI is either highly optimistic, and the second is that also deeply dystopian. It's basically the perils and opportunities kind of things. Let's come back to, I already talked about the potential of the AI, what we can actually do, can do, is already doing. And these are the things that actually are turning or emerging as the most used or interface with this technology. First, the AI tools, particularly the generative AI tools, its ability to simplify complex topics by using clear language and structure, that the first one it's used for. Then, second, its capacity to facilitate interactive learning by enabling users to ask follow-up questions, all those prompts, what do you do already using it? So that's the second one that we are using. And it has huge potential. That's why it's being used also more. Third, the AI generative tools' ability to engage users in human-like interactions. It increases its use for communicative purposes. So it's also customizing. It's a technology that customized. I can send prompts. It can interact with me. So it's communicating with me. The tool is communicating with me. And that's why I am getting my communication pieces also near accurate by purpose. In addition, generative AI has been recognized for its efficiency in summarizing scientific publications, its findings, generating media releases also, and even for journalistic writings also. Pardon. And tailoring content to individuals, users, and their specific needs. You sit with your tools and you give prompt, it asks you back, and you fine tune your prompt. So there is a communication. So these are the things. This is the potential of AI that we are already using. So to sum it up on the current uses of AI, what we are using for it is basically the AI tools are evolving as communicative platforms, communication tool, and that's where we are using it. It can be used and increasingly will be used in future. But suppose I'll give you an example how it's actually being turning out to be a novel information intermediary. Sometimes journalists, communication experts are called the information intermediaries. Look at ChatGPT, the most popular one we use. It's almost like a newspaper or a news platform. Might be its potential can be gauged from this fact that you actually don't go to Google now. Rather, you go to the ChatGPT and ask, give me the 5 biggest scientific developments today. And it does give you. Then you do your other things for any purpose that you wanted to do and things. So that's how it's actually evolving now. But now come to the perils. And very shortly. And it's evolving so fast, both in advancement, its uses, and our understanding or experiences of using these tools, also defining the perils. So let me list out very shortly means what we need to be cautious about, or what could be the potential perils that we foresee or might be already seeing it, so that we apply these tools with responsibility and informed way. Sorry, again. First, all these large language models, these are basically the generative AI tools are called for. They generate responses based on complex statistical patterns in their training data. Or what you call these models are basically trained also in the background. You give a prompt and they work on that. And in the background, they work on your prompt to answer. So statistical patterns in and how they have been trained, they actually respond according to that. But it doesn't have the understanding of the content. It means it's not you, it's not replacing you. You might be understanding or you might be knowing or aware about the content, the purpose. But these tools can very fast generate things on its own with a very trained fashion. So what you get out of is that you can organizations of many things, but the understanding of the content you will not get. Might be the way it's developing, it will become agentic or might acquire real intelligence and it can become soul. So that's uh, there are development like that. But currently what we see is that so you should be careful or rather aware about things that it doesn't understand the content. So apply. So that's one of the peril, but also indicates how to apply AI in research and communications of scientific things. So as a result, what happened, their outputs can be inaccurate sometimes, while appearing convincingly very factual. It doesn't actually give you the up-to-date information because remember, it gets you the information what exists, whether you have fed in or it's available somewhere from where it will get it. Or even reference non-existing scientific studies also sometimes it pulls out. Sometimes what we call the hallucination also and this thing. Keep this in mind while using all these things. So these are basically the perils, but these are also the indicators where while applying AI you can do this. I'll give you an example. Recently we used a AI-based generative translation tool to translate from a article from English to an Indian language called Malayalam. So the English language said that PM 2.5, that stands for particulate matter 2.5, kills 7 million people in India. The translated version in Malayalam read it like the Prime Minister kills 7 million people. So that's that. So this one of the things. And basically, this is a checklist also how you should be able to means what you should keep aside and check it and do this. Like many studies point out, the problems with this tool with health related information is also coming. Whether it's environment related health, it does help. It's very helpful to get your preliminary, your many information, but also it's also creates misinformation because it's available there and it throws you. So the human factor and its real intelligence cannot be kept aside. So remember, your intelligence has created the artificial intelligence and it's yet to replace it. Keep that in mind. one of the perils, but also it's a, what do you call, a checklist of cautions. Now, to do this, identifying inaccuracies always require domain-specific knowledge that may lack. That's why the first perils comes from this, is that inaccuracy creeps in, and you might not have the that domain specific knowledge or the real informations, accurate informations from there. So be careful on use. Now, the second peril, which, as I have been saying, is also the second in the list of cautions that you must keep it in mind while applying and using AI tools as an assistant or as assistants for our research or communication job. This large language model generated content has been criticized for flawed logical reasoning, a lack of critical reflection, and unoriginality. So what does this mean? These tools are yet to evolve or to develop to generate that logical reasoning, which is actually logical. When I said that flawed, it might just read tons of data, tons of things, and can come out with a logic or logical reasoning, but that's flawed. So that's the second peril. And the example that I gave you, PM 2.5 being translated into Prime Minister, it could be part of this. Then within this, it doesn't, or it lacks critical reflection. You cannot take out me and you, we being specific or domain experts. The critical reflection we can do. I could point out the mistakes from PM 2.5 and the Prime Minister. It's also a critical reflection. So it doesn't have that till now. So take that as the second caution. And unoriginality. Why you call this? When we do research, we do scientific studies, we do refer to, existing studies, existing researches, we refer to many articles, many data. The same thing is also done by when you deploy a AI tool. It crawls through and access many of them and gives you things. Why then we call it unoriginality? It's because it clinically picks up things and put it in a structured manner. Why it does this so? Because it lacks critical reflection and also the logical reasoning capacity. So this is actually all about that second peril. And these two are critical because at the core of deploying AI into communication, into research, and into very technical, like in the environmental research or scientific exploration into the environment, these two are critical. In fact, it's critical for anything. So you must have logical reasoning, you must have critical reflections of developments, and you must be original and product. So this is those perils. Now coming to the last part of these things, how you can use AI in this context. And I'll just list out few of them. And again, remember, it's not a recommendations, but it is based on based on the current uses, how people are actually using it, benefiting it, and which capacity or capability or the ability of AI tools we are actually deploying more and more. So you can say that this is basically based on the trends and the user's experiences till now. So the first one, what we have seen is that Share your newly published research paper on social media by uploading it to, say, for example, Claude, and ask, can you provide a short and engaging summary of this paper that I can share on social media or anywhere? So it sounds very familiar, isn't it? So this is being used more basically to get a summary, very short summary, even key points, which I want to actually disseminate or communicate to the outer world. I don't want to give you my whole thesis to be. uh, so this is being done, and there are various tools for it, and I just named one, Claude, because that's being used. Hmm. And in fact, it can tell you also if you prompt it well. If you ask while doing this, key, will you just that key, uh, what the readers, even you can ask something like that, key, what the readers might be actually know asking about my research paper. You have summarized my research papers or my piece of article. These tools can actually even help you in sensing what the readers might be wanting to know about it. So this is one use that AI being deployed for. Second, and suppose your abstract, your writing, or you have written a long piece, you have actually done a original research, which is big. This tools like ChatGPT can actually further summarize. And one way of doing it in the communications is that suppose you have a good piece of research, but you want to communicate or to actually disseminate it such a way that people will get interested to know about it or can relate to it. And how to relate to it? One can relate to things which is happening currently now. So even in this, using this chat GPT, you can actually upload your summary, or you can your abstracts or your findings or conclusion into that, and you can actually ask it to help you in summarizing this and providing interesting ways to connect the findings to the current news. So what it will do is basically it will look at the current news, it will look at your abstract, will find a correlations, probable correlations, or and can suggest it. So basically, this is also what a communication expert would have done. It can do it now, currently. So now the next is that key, you have your findings ready. You have you are through with your scientific research, but you want to put it in a format that anybody can read and understand. That's basically newspaper articles and report. Current AI tools can actually help you in doing that. If you just prompt it saying, "Hey, give me a news article in this kind of style using my this study," so you feed in the study and it can give you a fairly good piece of writing. Again, uh, articles, and it will read like a very comprehensible way of writing, and it can. But remember, you are not taking away your oversight. Now, the next could be also, and we have spoken about it earlier, generating writing ideas, even generating research ideas. It can actually tell you. And how it does this, because it has all the capability and the access to the world of data in the virtual world, that it can exactly give you suggestions on what to write or on topics what to research, and at least just to clear your the blockage, the first one, peer reviewing your things, it can help you. And second, It can create an outline. Most of the tools can actually help you on getting or creating or generating an outline of some things that you want to communicate. For example, you can prompt that I want to write about the ongoing conference of parties to the climate treaty that's happening in Brazil now. It can suggest you outlines. And it does it by doing its preliminary research, crawling through the websites and everything, and it can give you fairly one to begin with. Now, the last one that where it's being used and can be deployed is to build content in areas where you may have less experience. It does help. Suppose if a prompt like, can you help me develop a name and tagline for my blog on a subject that you don't know, it does the same thing and can suggest you. So these are the basically few things where currently the AI can help actually, or is helping, and we can also deploy. And that's all I wanted to inform you back, which is based on the current uses of artificial intelligence tools, particularly the generative AI tools. So to end, the message is very clear. The key to effectively using AI to assist in your public communication is through the prompts. You want to ask clearly what you are looking for, you might generate the desired answers. But remember, this also makes that point very clear that it's not taking away your intelligence, your domain knowledge, your expertise. It's just helping you out. So that's how it's being used currently. Thank you very much for listening. And if you have any queries, you can direct them to the course coordinator. Would love to engage. Thank you very much.